Hi, we are Fresh Katas team. We try to provide solutions for Mobility Corp problem. Today, we first talk about the main challenges and then we continue with two solutions. Mobility Corp provides short-term rentals for last mile transport. Vehicle availability, increasing customer engagement, and battery and charging management are the main challenges of Mobility Corp.
We have seen three challenges now, and together we concluded that the main challenge the company faces is continuous vehicle availability. This means users can reliably find and book scooters or e-bikes whenever they need one. But why is this important? We want to enhance user satisfaction. Nothing is more frustrating than using the company's service and not finding a vehicle when the user needs one. A satisfied user encourages word-of-mouth growth and also directly impacts the company's usage and revenue. In order to solve our main challenge, we implemented two solutions. First, a scooter and bike rescheduling machine learning approach, and second, an agentic AI trip planner, which we will now see in detail. Let's take a look at the first solution, which is a machine learning approach to optimally reroute scooters and bikes in order to satisfy user demand. Let's take a look at the building blocks of our approach by looking at an example. For each area scooters and bikes operate, we have designated parking bays. So let's imagine this 7 a.m. right now and we see 4 parking bays below. And at these 4 parking bays we have a supply and we predict our demand using a demand forecast that we will implement, and we see the supply matches the demand. Now, there is natural supply shift from users using the scooters and bikes. We need to predict that. That's what we will do in order to identify if our supply still satisfies the demand at a later time. So let's see, we have the supply now at 8 a.m. because the supply shifted, and now the demand is not satisfied anymore. From this, we can build our residual network. So we identify deficit spot and surplus spot. And from this residual network, we can now impose a min cost optimizer. So we want to solve a transshipment problem. This is a classic mathematical machine learning problem, optimization problem, where we want to find optimal truck routes to satisfy the deficits. And this is a detailed view of the architecture. So we have data ingestion on the left to include some data warehouses. Then we have the forecasting being done. In the forecast, we have another data store from which the residual builder builds this residual network. Then we impose this min cost optimizer. And in the end, we have a route which comes to our truck drivers. Here one can see some ADRs. For example, we want to do a 90 rebalance such that we always have a good starting point at the start of the day, and then we use an Arimax model for our demand forecast, and we use some open source solvers for the transshipment problem, and we do this whole manner in a rolling horizon, so we always want to do it over and over again such that we stay up to date.
Let's get started with second solution, Agentic AI Trip Planner. Why we need Agentic AI for trip planning? Suppose that the human wants to draw a plan for a trip. It needs massive real-time data, it needs user input and preference, and it's needed, to understand the current situation of the system. And we know that planning is non-deterministic approach because it depends on some changing factors. So here Agentic AI can shine. You know that LLM are the main brain of each agentic AI. We decided to use open source LLM because they are cheap, they are very good for reasoning, and they are very good for MCP call tooling. And we decided to publish or deploy the LLM on on-premise GPU cluster. Here you can see our main components of agentic AI. First, we have Chat AI Assistant, which is conversational AI. User can text to it, user can talk to it. And we have Trip Planner Agentic AI, which has access to all the MCP servers and information. It can collect all the data it needs for planning. And finally, we have Trip Planner Evaluator Agentic AI. It can evaluate the output of the Trip Planner. And this is our deployment design. And we use 2 web servers, 1 database server, and 1 on-premise GPU cluster. And finally, we calculate the price of the hardware for deploying the LLM. It was our first time, to calculate this. And you can see that we choose NVIDIA A100 for as a GPU for running the LLM on